I really hope that you saw last night's interview with Lilli Palmer, which I taped some months back in Germany. Tonight's show is a sort of companion piece to that because by a fortunate coincidence of timing, Lilli Palmer is now visiting the U.S. and was able to be here tonight, not on videotape, but in the flesh. And she is traveling with a man whom I wasn't able to tape in Germany, but I would like to have, namely her husband, Carlos Thompson, who, like her, is a gift for writing. So in just a few minutes, I'm going to be able to make up for my omission in Germany by bringing Mr. Thompson out to join us. If you watched last night, or if you've ever seen Lilli Palmer, you will find what I'm about to say as incredible as I do. When Miss Palmer was an acting student in Germany, her teacher made a list of her 10 principal shortcomings, and number 1 was, remember, you have no charm. I find it hard to believe this was ever true, but today it is so far from being true that she is the kind of guest I would go to any lengths to interview at any time on either side of any ocean. Will you welcome, please, the wonderful Lilli Palmer. How nice to see you here. Have a seat. Hi.
I better smile a lot to make up for the lack of charm. Here you
may keep that for picking it up that way. Who was this woman who said you had no charm, and was she certifiable?
Oh, no. She's one of the few people, one of the 2 people I met who have a touch of genius. Genius as a teacher and as a director, and in her days there was no such thing as a woman director. But she was a genius at teaching, and alas, I'm not allowed to tell you with which great stars. She's still working and making them Oscars, etc. I wrote all about that in my book.
Yes, in Change Lobsters and Dance. She must be in her 70s now.
She is. I had lunch with her 3 days ago. She's still going strong. And all that I know, not only about charm or about acting, comes from her. Just she used to drop occasionally the script she was giving me the cues from and said, Lilli, this is not just for this role, this is for life. And this makes all the difference between charm and dreariness. Now, you see, that taught me a lot.
Yes, and this all came about when you were already an actress. It isn't that you were a beginner who was saying, how do you act?
I didn't have a clue.
And when she said to you, don't show me your charm, after having you read a line for her.
Don't show me your talent.
Your talent, your talent, yes. Don't show me your talent.
Yeah, no. The most important line of all.
I'm not sure I would have understood that, or even that I do now.
Oh, yes, you do.
Do I?
Yes, you do, because you see, if I would now overwhelm you with what I might fondly believe would be my charm, you would kind of go like this after a while. And an actor who comes ballooning onto the stage, you know, and shows how he can laugh and how he can cry and how he holds nothing back. That means he's showing talent, he's earning his salary, which I was very keen on. But if, like for instance, Laurence Olivier, you hold back, and you have to look into his eyes to think, what the hell is he thinking about? That is what you're striving for. That's mystery. That's what Dali calls number 1 ingredient for genius, for mystery.
Dali?
Yes,
the painter?
Yes, he made 10 points, you know, explaining what is genius composed of, and number 1 is mystery.
Mystery. There isn't much you can learn from a statement like that, though, because you can't acquire mystery unless you...
you have it.
Unless you simply shut up and don't say anything and let people guess what you're thinking, which would be pointless.
No, but you see, for instance, in a painting that you have hanging in your sitting room, you pass it for 5 or 10 years, and if it still doesn't make you stand still and look at it and wonder, then it has no more interest for you. That's what mystery means.
Have you kept up your painting?
Don't make me blush. Yes. I have. I just had my first German exhibition, and I'm about to have my first Greek exhibition in Greece, in Athens. I have 2 English ones.
Lilli, over your shoulder, a man is holding up a sign that's rather embarrassing. Your book, The Red Raven, is locked in my dressing room. Otherwise, there would be a copy of it here. Can anyone imagine a book called The Red Raven sitting here? It's kind of that theory of mystery. We're withholding it. We're not actually showing it.
And I'm not in the least sorry, I tell you, because I don't like the cover.
Why?
See, I'm a painter. Well, on the cover is a sort of girl doing this, and this is not right for The Red Raven.
The author has no say on the cover.
Hélas, I didn't have any say. I screamed so loud across the Atlantic, I wouldn't have needed a telephone. But they said to me, no, you don't understand Americans. They like the Red Raven in paint. And in case they thought it was really about a bird. It is about some kind of a bird who was a girl. Her nickname was Red Raven.
Would it have embarrassed you more if they had said The Red Raven, a love story?
No. They should have said, they ought to have said, as they did in the original German version, an autobiographical novel, because it is a pure autobiography.
Yes.
Novel only because I had to change the names.
I like any book that has a man in it who only goes out on months that have an R in them. Now people will have to find out what that's about. I hope I've intrigued them.
Shall I explain? No.
Probably better not to. It's that theory of mystery again.
Okay.
Use your own judgment.
No, well, just a little bit. This man you're talking about was the father of my lover. He was, of course, on the borderlines of insanity. He was a scientist, and he adored shellfish. And not only to eat, but he loved the idea that for several months in the year you couldn't touch them, and they were at home, they couldn't be touched, they were protected. And so he imitated their lifestyle too. He stayed at home. That killed him, by the way. Bomb fell on him during the war,
Yes. It's a comedy, really. Your life is so interesting that it deserves to be treated both fictionally and non-fictionally, and you've done both masterfully. It's discouraging that someone as talented as you can also write and paint and so on.
All comes under the same heading, you know. You could paint now. I bet you I could teach you to paint.
I wonder. I have a very hard time. Yes, I was the only kid in third grade who could not, no one could distinguish between my dog and my chimney when I drew them.
You can't with Picasso either. Absolutely not. But I could teach you the rudiments of painting, and above all, I could teach you what not to do. That's already a lot.
In life or in painting?
Painting.
Well, it's too late for the rest. Lilli, do you miss Hollywood society at all? In your writing, you've probably given us one of the best pictures of what it's like to be in Hollywood society, at a Hollywood party, also suffering the anguish of private life, becoming ensnarled in the Hollywood society, of anything I've ever read. Is there anything you miss about it? Would you ever go back?
No. I was very young, full of piss and vinegar, as the English say,
yes.
And coming from the blackout of England, you know, into this world of lights and nylons and orange juice. It was simply divine, and the door would open and in would come Hoagie Carmichael, Judy Garland, Gary Cooper. My God, I mean, I fainted clean away with delight. It was lovely as the years after the war, when the heroes came back and Hollywood still thought it was going to have the old aura, dying as it was, but it didn't know that. So we had 3 or 4 years of that, and I wouldn't miss it for the world.
You had a lot of anguish there, though. I'm not taking skeletons out of closets because it's in your book, but your husband, Rex Harrison, was having an affair with Carol Landis.
Yeah, what happens in the best of families.
I always want to say Carol Lombard, Carol Landis.
Landis.
Who then committed suicide. And one of the worst things about celebrity is, of course, that your private anguish becomes public property when something like that happens. What resources did you draw on to survive that? You were really pilloried by press. And
No, you're wrong about that. At the moment when it happens, you have a good role to play, you know?
Oh.
It kind of, the drama carries you. You don't quite know what's happened, and you behave well. I think everybody behaves well because there's no choice. It's afterwards, when all the furor has died down and the ordinary day dawns on you rather gray. Then that's when the trouble starts. Well, Rex's case, he was just unlucky. I don't think I knew a leading man or a leading woman in Hollywood who didn't have some extramarital little shenanigans. The only thing was not to get found out, you see. He was unlucky. She killed herself. She tried it several times before, and the trapdoor shut, and he was caught.
you must have, I see where I was wrong, because I remember now you did retain a sense of, maybe slightly mordant sense of humor at the time. Do I recall you're asking a friend, what do you wear to the funeral of your husband's suicide lover?
Oh, no, Dick, I phrased it so much nicer. I said, what does the well-dressed woman wear to the funeral of her husband's mistress? That's what I said.
No, you didn't. It was my way. Yes, you're right. I love to
Something like that.
Thank you for editing. I see where I was wrong, because I remember now you did retain a sense of, maybe slightly mordant sense of humor at the time. Do I recall you're asking a friend, what do you wear to the funeral of your husband's suicide lover?
Oh, no, Dick, I phrased it so much nicer. I said, what does the well-dressed woman wear to the funeral of her husband's mistress? That's what I said.
No, you didn't. It was my way. Yes, you're right. I love to
Something like that.
Thank you for editing that.